So now that we have our data, we want to make sure that we can graph it and then make some decisions based on what the graph tells us. So I'm looking at some sample data from the class today, and the information that we need is this, the average time, and we need the distance, which actually in this case is also the displacement of the car. So what I did is, you notice we have 3 different cars. What I did is I opened up Microsoft Excel, and I took that data and I put it here. So the average time went in the first column and the displacement went in the second. And you'll notice that the displacement is always going to be the same increments, because if you recall, we marked off half-meter spots, and then we measured the amount of time that it took to get to those half meters, so 0.51, 1.52. So you'll notice that in each of these 3 cases, the displacement is always going to be the same increments, but the time that it took to get to those different marks is going to differ depending on the car that you had. So all I did is I took their data and I just put it here in Microsoft Excel, making sure that the time went in the first column and the displacement went in the second. So now to graph this, what I do is I just take my cursor and I highlight these 2 cells. I'm going to go to Insert, and I want to choose this one that looks like it says Scatter Plot. I want to choose this guy. So when I do that, it pops up a graph right now. It just basically plots the points that I gave it. Now I want to do a couple more things to make this look like a decent graph. First thing I want to do is I want to change the title. I don't want to call it chart title. You want to give it a good name. You can just highlight and type over it. I'm not going to tell you what name to give this graph. You think about what information this graph is telling us, and that's what your title should be. Please, whatever you do, don't call it the cool car graph, because that doesn't tell us much. You want to tell us what information is contained within the graph. So think of a good title. The other thing that you're going to want to do is if you click on this little plus sign, you want to make sure that you have axis titles. So now that pops this up. Again, you're going to want to think of what this axis is. I'm going to give you a hint. This axis is going to be your average time. So think of what this axis is going to be. What's the other thing that we plotted? Okay, so you're going to put that in there. The next thing you're going to want to do is click this thing called trend line. Basically what it does is it finds a best fit line that goes through most of your points. Okay, well that's not enough. We want to do a couple more things now. I want you to right click on this, and you want to click where it says Format Trend Line, and then we want to display the equation for that line. So now you can see that this is written in slope-intercept form. It's y equals mx plus b, and this is telling us what this line, it says something actually about the velocity of the car. So we'll talk about what this means, but basically this coefficient that comes in front of the x is your slope. The slope of a position time graph is the velocity of that car. So in this case, this car was going about 0.4 meters per second. One more thing before I finish here is you want to make sure when you title your axes that you not only say what information is contained here, but you also want to make sure that you include the correct units. So when we measured time, what units did we use? When we measured displacement, what units did we use? Make sure you include those. All right, once your graph is all done, and mine is not because I didn't put the title in, but you're going to want to right click, you're going to want to copy this, and you're going to want to paste it in Microsoft Word. Okay, do that for the 2 others. So you'll notice there's one graph for the first car. You're going to want to do the exact same thing for car 2. You're going to want to do the exact same thing for car 3. And you're going to paste all 3 of those graphs in Microsoft Word because that's what you're going to turn in on Canvas. Okay, good luck.